We have never done anything like this before. We're going to do a game rewatch of last year's Michigan State versus Michigan game. Yes, the first ever unbeaten matchup between these two teams. Yeah, let's just see how it goes. I bet it's going to be a good time. Right, John? Why not? Yeah, let's just give it a whole shot. All right, here we go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hate week is upon us, but at the same time, I love every single one of you. That's right, the viewers and listeners of Locked On Spartans, and also this gentleman joining me right now, John Kirby of the Only Podcast, one of the best people out there. John, how on earth are you doing on this blessed week of hatred?
Dude, I'm ready to get going. I feel like the bye week or the idle week, kind of it's a nice little ramp up, and now everyone's hitting their stride. So let's help people get it going.
I feel like I haven't been mean enough, and I'm ready to ramp that up this week. I'm ready to find the worst parts of myself and kind of display that on the internet, one tweet at a time. So before we get to that, though, hey, just want to thank you all for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. That's right. And hey, also, Sling TV is the place to watch this game. This episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Sling TV. Don't miss this week's matchup between the Spartans and that team down the road right here on Sling. Sling, the TV you love for a price that you will also love. Try it today. Hopefully you love this episode because, like I said, we've never tried anything like this. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know what this is. We're going to be playing a video courtesy of the YouTube channel Wheels. It is an 18-minute cut of last year's game. If you're listening on the pod, me and John will probably try to describe this game as best as possible, but also, even if we don't, odds are you remember every single minute of this game. So, it's going to be a roller coaster because, my goodness gracious, gee willikers, excuse my language, last year's game was a roller coaster, John. Without further ado, are you ready to do this?
I think so. I'm super hyped. So,
before I hit the play button, God, I made it less than 3 minutes before I already get off topic here and start rambling. This is a peek behind the curtain that no one cares about except me. There were only 3 people I communicated with, and they were all in the same group chat for this game. You were one of these 3 people.
Yeah.
I was kind of a mopey zoo lion the entire evening up until the Chuck Brantley interception. What were your vibes going into this game? Because I was a nervous Nilly, safe to say, for this game.
I think it's really important, just like anyone on a team, you're in a group chat, everyone's got to have a role. Mm-hmm. And when it's game day, you got to play your role to perfection, right? Because you're going to have positive spin guy, there's going to be negative Nelly, and that's fine. There's going to be let's go guy. And then, and then the fourth, there's the wild card. So, so whatever you choose, you just got to play your role and then if you deviate from it, it gets very confusing to others. It's like, are they doing a bit? We don't have time for a bit.
Was their phone stolen? Right. Exactly. It gets very confusing.
So yeah, I was only communicating with you guys as well. And I'll tell you, it's the second screen experience often doesn't mirror what's happening on the screen. So a lot of time the second screen you would think it's a lot worse than maybe what's happening.
It was bad. I was very fortunate enough to be on vacation, and by the time the second half rolled around, my lovely in-laws have left me, my wife left me, and my son left me. And honestly, that sounds about right. So it was just you 3 in this phone for the second half. But hey, for the second half, the first half begins. And here we are. I'm going to play this on YouTube at 1.25 speed, just this video a little quicker, but kickoff goes off. And I already feel like throwing up in a bucket, John. I don't know how you felt for this first series of the game, which surely went fine, right?
I'll tell you, the funniest thing happens every single coin flip. It's like, do you want the ball or do you not want the ball? And either way, you'll convince yourself it's better. Getting it or not getting it. Michigan State getting it, I remember being like, okay, let's see what happens. And then Peyton, throws the pick after
that. Yeah.
And I remember thinking the positive in it is It's a punt, arm punt. Like
Yes.
in the 5. That's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
And the rationalization like is constant, right? It's just like constant rationalization until you like feel like, well, we'll get to that part.
We are okay. We're just a little over 2 minutes into the game, and just like you said, Peyton Thorne throws this interception immediately, and it's very far down the ladder of stages of grief. But I was already at the bargaining stage immediately because I was like, "Oh yeah, arm punt!" Like, okay, he just threw the ball down the field. Michigan's tucked inside their 5-yard line. Okay, that's it.
Long
You know
game.
what?
Field position.
Yes, calculated risk, Mr. Peyton Thorne. Thank you very much. Because it was also odd for him to like take a risk that didn't pay off. I gotta say, again, we're looking at this in the lens of last year right now. And, as they're showing the replay right now, you can see that, he was kind of thrown directly into double coverage and unfortunately hit a Michigan jersey right in stride. But hey, it's okay. Michigan can't do much damage the next, possession, right? They're 92 yards away from the end zone.
There's no way. And especially not a freshman that, is from the backyard of Lansing and Andrew Anthony, who the kid had some go-go jet shoes, man. He can move.
I did not know that until this play.
No one did. He didn't play much.
Look, I would love for Andrew Anthony to commit to Michigan State. And I, honestly, I didn't really know much about him. And then I learned a lot about him on this play, and I thought, uh-oh.
He wasn't uh-oh. I was like, oh, they've had that all season. I should have used that guy more. He seems really good.
Yeah, and also too, if you remember last year, and God, this feels like 28 years ago at this point, but this is when we still believe that bend don't break actually works in the Michigan State defense. Sure. Now, look, we know what's happened this season. We know what happened in the last season. It was kind of bend and then break a little bit, but for this game, it was still bend don't break. But this play was like, this is what it looks like when things break. When Andrew,
this is why we put on top of it on the defense. Got it. Xavier Henderson taking a bad angle.
Sure.
Yeah, kind of saw that coming, right? Anyway,
it was the entire shebang of plays that was kind of foreshadowing to the rest of the season. But hey, for this very game, didn't mean a whole lot because, well, okay, we all know what happens at the end. We're not going to play the spoiler alert, like, oh no, we might not win this game, but vibes weren't extraordinary here as they he's very fast. All right, so here we are, second series, Michigan State, midway through the first quarter, and Peyton White Lightning Thorne scampers out. We're feeling okay.
Yeah, we're fine. It's fine.
We're going to answer the call here. This is not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And then John.
Now we're doing wheels. Now we're talking about like where you start to have that little voice in the back of your head that's like, all that positivity. Shut up. Like this, right. Going to lose by 50 at home. Get ready.
Defensive end gets the ball down. Some guy from Michigan catches it. I don't even know who, but
oh yeah,
and not in good territory either. Mr. Kirby, if you can remember, if you're listening on a podcast, it's at the Michigan State 45 right now. Michigan can go up an easy 14-zip immediately this game, and boy howdy.
So how are you feeling at this time? Like you're in the game and you're like, okay, the two kind of worst things almost to date that could have happened up to this point kind of happened. Where are you in your headspace? Are you saying it's all still fine, or what guy are you in the group chat? Remind me at this point.
At this point in the game, I think I was still like, well, okay, hold them to a field goal, and then we have to score the next possession. And I'm talking field goal, like we need to put up 7 the next time down the field here. Otherwise, we're going to be in some deep water here. We could be down 14-0. We could be down 10-0 with them as the ball.
But you're thinking, and like that little rationalization in your head, you're thinking, we did move the ball a little bit on them twice. Like that was a batted pass. It was like there's been movement. There's been reasons to believe that you can move the ball on.
And I can talk myself into just the weirdest headspace too, where I'm like, hey, you know what? You're going to have 2 disastrous plays no matter what this game. Yeah. Guess what? You just got them out of the way early.
Smart.
Weather the storm or be the storm. That's a Mark D'Antonio quote. Weather the storm or be the storm. But John Kirby, unfortunately, we are in the eye of the hurricane right now because it is Michigan ball, 45 yards away from 7 more points. We're not even out of the first quarter yet. Things are going what they call not good.
This is the part where it's like if you had a bunch of people over where it's like just really quiet in the room and all you hear for a while as it goes to commercial is just like beer cans cracking. Silence. No one's going to speak. There's nothing to say. And just alcohol being consumed. That's what you're here. Oh, and then our sports been like, no, hold on.
Yep. All right. Yep, we got to go back there. Yep, absolutely. Pause it on this. This was you would have thought this gentleman right here, the gentleman in the zip-up hoodie, that he already logged 80 yards of rushing, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 sacks on the game. I don't know how that makes sense, but his reaction to that play also doesn't make sense. John, is this not one of the best 2 screenshots in Michigan State, Michigan history right now? I mean, this.
So, for our listeners, you already know what you're hearing. It's that Michigan gets a turnover, and one of their coaches, instead of continuing to coach, decided to take a group photo with the team, which, by the way, is fine. Like the team can do whatever they want. Right?
Yeah, fine. 100%. They've earned it. Yeah.
Celebrate. Like you did it. If you're a coach, and here's the little like behind the curtain here. There's no time to do that at a college football game. There's definitely no time to do that when you're a top 10 team playing another top 10 team. And
not when we're in the first quarter.
You need to be talking about there is a constant dialogue between what's happening. You're logging what had taken place, what coverage were they in, what guys are on the field, who is on the sub package. Like there's no time for tomfoolery. And yet we have time for a photo. And I think what's really fun about this is that it catches up a little bit later.
Does it now? That's my favorite thing about this is if you met someone out of a medically induced coma who's a football fan, and you just showed them like the upper 90% of this screenshot. So it takes away the quarter and the score. You would have thought fourth quarter, game icing interception, up 8 points to win the game.
Yeah.
Not first quarter up 7-0 necessarily, but
that's a good point. They had won the game. Like there was I did just say celebrate all you want. There's also a little bit of like careful. Like it's come on now. That is the Michigan way.
Things are a little different down the road, no doubt about that. And look, we have barely scratched the surface of this game. But before we go any further, Mr. Kirby, I have to say goodbye to you really quick. I have to say goodbye to the game because I have to talk to people's ear off about Nissan because they have one of my favorite segments of the week. That's right. Our partners at Nissan have worked with us to create a new segment across the Locked On College Network titled Thrilling Moments, where we highlight the most exciting plays from the Spartans weekend game or throughout the history of our alma mater. Obviously, Michigan State was on a bye week. So, hey, this week's thrilling moment from the Michigan State Spartan history is going to have to be, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding up number 5 right now. Pick any one of Kenneth Walker's 5 touchdowns, which we will get to in a hot second here. That's going to be the most thrilling moment of the week in the history of Michigan State sports because, talk about last week's games. So shout out to Nissan. This segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across the Nissan lineup of vehicles. Hey, pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today. Available now at nissanusa.com. And as we welcome the wonderful John Kirby back, that's right, of the only podcast, fantastic podcast, him and Austin Smith do. Just want to thank you all for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day. And Mr. Kirby, got bad news. Michigan's in the red zone right now, but 38 incomplete pass thoughts. We have held them to a field goal. And their field goal kicker who last year kicked for 200%, obviously, well, hey, diddle down the middle, drills it. 10-0, John Kirby. Let's get a vibe check right now.
So this all takes place, and like while I'm quietly excited that we've held them to 10 points, I'm still thinking in the back of my head, like, the coach really did that? And then also I'm thinking in my head, like, do Michigan fans watch that? And they're like, yeah. I'm pumped that happened. Like, I'm excited that our coach was a part of that. Like,
Yes.
are they self-identifying with that? Or are they like, I hope they're looking at
We know the answer. We know the answer.
We're like, yeah, that is good. And that's like mind-blowing to me. Meanwhile, Michigan State, I'm still thinking about all of this. And meanwhile, the second quarter is about to begin. And we're kind of like, Michigan State has, again, they moved the ball down the field this guy. And again, that was kind of like vindicating for what the positive Pete in the back of our head was saying. Like, okay, they moved the ball and they just messed up twice, right? Like,
yes.
But they can move the ball on these guys. But now when you're down 10-0, start of the second quarter, I think we were both saying we've already had the two mistakes, right? Like, you gotta score.
You have to score.
Seven too. Like, not settling for field goals, which always felt like an adventure. So like, let's punch it in here. And Kenneth Walker had been a little quiet.
Well, bounces it outside, goes across the end zone. He's at the 2-yard line. Ball is squarely in his hand, Mr. Kirby. And you know what? I'll have you know that, well, according to the officials, was in his hand squarely across the end zone. Now, I didn't know that there was controversy whether he dropped the ball or not because, I turned around, went to get another beer, and I was like, this is great. And then I, go back to my screen. I'm like, oh, my God, they're reviewing what? What happened? When they review this play, John, I'm going to whisper this quietly because I don't want, the upset Michigan fans to hear this. Everyone cries about the Peyton Thorne leg down call. This was the call that Michigan fans should be hung up on because, again, I'm going to lean in a little closer. I think Kenneth Walker 100% dropped that ball before the goal line. However, I'm an idiot with a microphone, John. I'm not an official. I don't matter in the grand scheme of things. My opinion doesn't matter. They counted that as a touchdown. Did you think the same thing? Did Kenneth drop that ball early on the first touchdown?
He did, but
okay.
the referees subscribe to the rule that I've been advocating for decades, which is if you do a cool enough thing, then it counts. Like if a wide receiver has a sick catch and like maybe it might have been out of bounds, come on, let's give it to him. Kenneth bounced it outside against, a top 5 defense. We'll count it. Let's keep it.
Credit where credit is due 100%. And that was just one of 5. 5 touchdowns for Mr. Kenneth Walker right now. Michigan has the ball to start the second quarter, of course, after Michigan State scores, and they're moving the ball pretty nicely down the field, and I'm once again starting to have a horrendous time. It's bend, don't break time, John. It's bend, don't break time.
Bend, because the first time it was like break, and it was like, oh, okay, well, like for some reason this is better because it's not happening all at once, so we're like going to live with this.
Yep.
And they did exactly what we thought this defense was going to have to do, which is just hold on, make them kick field goals and just keep up, right? And that was I know you had to do.
And they did. They did apparently. So 13-7 now. Okay, now you get a touchdown. We're starting to feel a little okay. You weathered 2 hellacious storms, 2 horrible turnovers.
Yeah.
And now here you are. That is one of my favorite play calls right now. And if you're watching on YouTube, you know what it is. But on the podcast, it's the 4th and 1, just on the other side of the 50. Fake handoff to Kenneth Walker. We're just going to one to Jana Reed right there. And I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I left the room celebrating. I had my hands up in the air. And when I came back, I expected to see an extra point.
Here's the deal.
Jalen Speedy.
He was Jalen on that play. He was not.
He was just Jalen Naylor on this one. Tripped up at the 8-yard line.
That's an NFL dude. That's an NFL dude in the back, like Daxton. Like
yes.
That's the only guy in the field that could have made that play, and he did. He's incredible. But Jalen hit like Buddy. Come on. but so they punch it in. A couple plays later, but it was on Matt a hurry up run. And there was an offsides against the defense. Now, which coach on the Michigan side do you think would be responsible for defensive line personnel and substitutions?
I know it's not the one that was posing for a picture and going for clout.
Right?
Surely it can't be incorrect here, right?
It was him. And I don't know
okay.
how many people actually, I know we talk about it all the time. I don't know how many people like really understand that that was his job. Like
Shoot. Okay. That was his, huh?
you know,
Well, what are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do, right? So MSU all of a sudden ahead in a game that had a couple disasters already, right?
Mhm.
And then you're thinking, okay, we're gonna do bend don't break all day, and we're just gonna hold them to field goals, right? Unfortunately, they finally released the Kraken and threw JJ McCarthy in the game, and it was like, well, something really good or something really bad is about to happen.
And here is what the bad thing is that's about to happen. 17-yard pass right over the head of Chester Kimbrough to Andrell Anthony for his second touchdown of the day. And I'm thinking a few things right now. I'm thinking, okay, well, Kimbrough, season is getting a little harder and harder and harder. Also, oh my God, JJ McCarthy might actually win them this game tonight.
Yeah.
And oh my God, Andrell Anthony, this is going to hurt so bad because not only does a loss to these guys hurt, but to a true freshman from Michigan State's backyard, I might be thrown up the rest of the night here.
And
just out of disgust.
And take it a step further, and the backup quarterback that they think is the next big thing, he might beat us. And it's like, there's no way that trifecta could happen.
Not good. Not good at all. And you know what else isn't good is this play, obviously, on the screen. Guys, I got bad news for you here on the podcast. If you're not watching, Peyton Thorne just fumbled the ball, and it's in the end zone, and oh my God, Michigan just covered it. Not good whatsoever, but
Wait a second. Hey,
hold on.
What's that? Oh, no.
Is that the Challenge Booth's music? Is that...
I'm going to tell you.
I need your thoughts on this play, John. I need him.
I was so far past this game is over in my head that I couldn't even understand that if the call was reversed, that it would still be Michigan State's ball. Like I was like, well, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
I'm 80 beers in. I don't know what's happening. and they get the punt out of it, right? And you avoid disaster. And now you're just saying if you hold them to a field goal, somehow 23-14 feels somehow 1,000 times better than 26-14.
It seems like you won the first half, honestly, being down 23-14, which, obviously, eventually they were down 23-14 as you're watching on YouTube right now. We're doing the sped up version, but we have to talk about that call at length. The review. I was right with you. When they reversed the call, again, I just thought it was still Michigan's ball. I didn't even have the wherewithal to think like, oh yeah, it's still our ball. Just
I can't function right now. You asking me to understand rules? No.
Right. I just almost walked into the ocean and never turned around. Like, you want me to all of a sudden just like understand everything going on right now? Like, no, that's certainly not going to happen. But yeah, now it's the second half. You're down only 9 points, which oddly seems like an incredible win. But unfortunately, Michigan gets the ball to start the half. And okay.
Right. And you're like, well, that seems bad. This is bad.
No bueno.
It hasn't really stopped them all day. Yeah, they held them to a couple of field goals, but they haven't punted. So
correct.
This is not great, but that play was huge where it was 4th and 1. They had the call in, and they were going to get the first down easily, and
more,
and a jump on the false start. And I got to tell you, that was a big switch because all of a sudden you survive, and then there was a miscommunication on the punt, and which. I'm not quite sure if it was supposed to be a fake or not. I'll never know if Jim Harbaugh is going to blame his players or he's never taken the ball. So I
don't know if Robbins knew either if it was a fake or not. I have no idea. But
dude, time out. Michigan punters rule. You know why? Because they're responsible for some hilarity in our life. One, the gift that everyone still uses, which is the ball like coming out of his hands and he's having the moment of holy. And he's like, yes.
That
moment, that's like a national thing. That's not like an MSU Michigan thing.
Oh, obviously, no. Everyone gets to enjoy that one. Yeah.
And then trouble with the snap. And then this move where the punter's like, I'm going to take on Quavarius Crouch one-on-one in the spring. This is going to go well for me. Michigan punters rule, dude.
Quavarius Crouch, he was here for 12 minutes, but he has one of those fascinating careers in Michigan State history, right? Because, like,
unbelievable.
athletic freak, had some like okay moments. Also, like every Saturday was improv class for him. Like he was just doing his own thing out there most of the time. But for this one moment where he leveled the punter was like, yeah, that's gonna live in lore. No doubt about that. And we got a lot of other plays that live in lore. I'm so sorry. We're going so long right now. But before we go any further, we're going to get into the meat of the game here with John Kirby. But I just have to talk your ear off about SweatBlock. And I already know that everyone here listening to this was sweating their brains out for this game. I was too, but hey, you know what? I got it figured out with SweatBlock. That's right. It's an incredible product. You put it on and you're good for like days at a time. That's how good SweatBlock is. SweatBlock was able to fix my problem with perspiration, just smelling like a dumpster, smelling like a pile of bacteria at the end of every game. No one wants to smell that. Absolutely not. But SweatBlock knows that too, and they take care of you. So hop onto sweatblock.com and enjoy SweatBlock, because also you're going to like this too. It was created by a doctor to help his own excessive sweating. Guys, doctor recommended, doctor created. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, like I was on this fateful day last year, that's right, try SweatBlock. Save 20% off with promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. That's right, 20% off with promo code LOCKEDON. That's 2 words, locked and then on, at sweatblock.com. That's going to save you 20% off. Also available on Amazon. Let's take the rest of this game home with John Kirby. Thank you so much for sticking along. This is going longer than I anticipated, but hey, there's 6 minutes left in the third quarter, and I'm starting to have the worst time of my entire life right now. Sarensell just scored a touchdown. They're up 16 points. Help. No, honestly, I'll be short with my emotions. I felt a sweeping numbness over my body, and I thought, just don't lose by 30. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, John, take us to church. What was in the mind of John Kirby for this play?
Nothing that wasn't on the mind of anyone listening or watching. Yeah, we're deep doo-doo here, and they're just gonna have you're knocking on the door of miracle. Like it was a 2-possession game, but it was like, this feels tough.
It felt like a 17 possession. You know what? I also thought too, like it might be time to start smoking cigarettes. Like this might be the time. Yep. Yes. It's time to live out the parody of Ben Affleck.
Jaden Reed makes one of his handful of incredible catches on this drive that keeps it alive, and it was just like, this guy is just putting him on his back though. In the fourth,
one of the biggest shames of this game is that Jaden Reed never had a touchdown, because right now we're watching the 4th and 4 play where the tried and true Jaden Reed is open somewhere down there. Works for the roughly 17th time that season, and now we're at the 2-yard line. And Kenneth Walker obviously punches it in, but like, it is criminal that Jaden Reed wasn't able to tack on a touchdown for his performance, because he was. Is it fair to say he had an underrated game this day, or like, does everyone respect it enough? I'm very on the fence with that.
I don't think people will remember him in this game, even though the 4th and 4 and the catch earlier in that drive is what kind of kept it alive. Kenneth Walker obviously deserves everything that came his way after the game. 5 touchdowns speaks for itself. But yeah, for down the road, we're gonna have to keep Jaden's hero alive.
But so there's another Jaden play coming up here, because we just started the 4th quarter. Michigan State down 8. But we're like kind of driving the car, and oh my goodness, we're not just driving the car. Kenneth Walker just drops another touchdown on their head, and now Michigan State's down 2, and now it's another time for Jaden Reed to do Jaden Reed things here. Before the 2-point conversion, thoughts. MSU's down 2. They just aren't this close to erasing the 16-point deficit. Are you thrown up in a bucket like I am, or what's going through your head?
Well, right before this play, it was kind of in your head. It was like, well, it'd be a lot cooler if Michigan State scored here. And Kenneth Walker's like, done. So, and then apparently MSU has a ton of awesome 2-point conversion plays, because they all work. And Kenneth Walker makes NFL players miss and takes it to the house here, and holds onto it through the end zone this time. Thumbs up. learned our lesson on this one.
Oh God. Yep, it kind of did. That helps a little bit, but oh my, this is a two-hand touch football touchdown from more than 70 yards out. Like, this is how you know he's good. This is a two-hand touchdown.
That was tough. That was a tough scene for a defense that thought it was really good. And so Peyton Thorne again was like, guys, remember that one play call where I just like throw it up to our best wide receiver? It's gonna work. All right, done. This was a little funny because DJ Turner did come down with it, and it was a little confusing as to what exactly happened. But I think the coolest thing that happened here is Jaden Reed's little boys him, like with the motion as he's walking, and there was no doubt. Again, back to if you do something cool enough, it counts. Yeah. Like you don't have to worry about if it was a catch. So Kenneth Walker did something cool. He scored a touchdown. It counts. Same thing here. So we're all tied up, which is insane. There's no way MSU could be tied up with Michigan after what we saw earlier this game.
The living embodiment of the, hey, look at us. We're here.
I know. Should we win?
We should like, win. Who would have thought?
We're already here.
Yeah. But also, too, I have to admit right now that at this point, this is when I really started to think, if this game doesn't work, this is going to be the hardest loss of any MSU game I've ever watched in my entire life. Because look, every MSU Michigan game is very ramped up in emotion, everything like that. But this was a historical game. The first game between the two teams unbeaten, the first game between the two teams in the top 10. Like, you just erased a 16-point deficit. You're at home. You just tied it. If you blow this one, I might never smile again. I might never smile again. That's one thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, biggest game in rivalry history, right? Like,
it is, and it always will be. Yeah.
Until they're both ranked higher. This is it. So, the good thing we had in the back of our head is that Michigan State this season did not lose to average to bad quarterbacks. So no matter what, we had that in our back pocket this entire game. It was like, because it's easy in hindsight to say, but everyone knew Cade McNamara was not that guy. Like, he's fine, but he's not that guy. So you have that.
Unless he, and like, I know I'm using a bad example because he just completed a mile-long pass to Saren still. He was not that guy unless he was thrown to Eric All. And I remember Eric All having 695 receiving yards this game. And I'm shocked to learn that, like, he had less than 200. Because I thought that every other play was to Eric All, and he was eating us up.
Watching that guy, I was like, he should be in the NFL. He shouldn't be here. This stinks.
It's like, it's Travis Kelce played for Michigan. This is great. Awesome. Awesome. This is fantastic. Yeah, man. Not good.
Back to it's like bend, don't break, right? It was like, that Michigan's going to score again. That's happening. So what are you going to do about it? Like, just hold them to a field goal. And we all know that MSU is going to have to score again to win. So a touchdown to win either way, because you're going to go for two after going 2 for 2. If you score, so it's like you had to score a touchdown either way. The problem was MSU didn't score right away and had to punt. And then Michigan was walking down the field with a chance to end the game. And so why wouldn't you put in your backup quarterback in that situation?
It is true freshman J.J. McCarthy time because you know what? Jim Harbaugh, never on schedule, always on time with his incredible decision-making in this rivalry. He just fumbled like 6 minutes before this, but luckily for them, they recovered. Now it's time for J.J. to do his thing. 1st and 10. They could put the dagger in. Touchdown essentially ends the game. There's 7 minutes left when this drive starts. And look, I'm going to out myself right here. I'm not a football expert. Like, I know certain things about RPO and option offense, but like, I did not know that one of the options of RPO was putting the ball directly on the turf.
Yeah.
And right. I didn't know that was a third option. And look, again, maybe it's just the idiot in me that doesn't know the correct time to do this. Apparently, JJ thought this was the right time to do this. Apparently, Jim Harbaugh thought it was the good time to call this play where, hey, we're going to put the ball on the 45-yard line.
You know what was so funny about this is in I do remember you texting in that said group chat, like, only giving up 33 points so far. Wouldn't it be funny if they forced a turnover? And I was like, let's not get goofy. Like that.
Right, yeah.
We don't. And, to be fair, MSU's defense did not force the turnover. JJ McCarthy said, actually, it'd be a lot funnier if you guys had the ball here, which I was all for. Love that idea. So MSU ball, 7 minutes to go at home, down 3. Feeling good about it, personally.
It was go time. You got to score here, and if not, like, this is your time to make the moment, because they just handed it. Because hey, look, the quarterback that's thrown for nearly 800 yards against us, now he could take a break. It's tiny hands time. Puts it right on the mat. A gift from the heavens, and Mr. Kenneth Walker is about to do Kenneth Walker things. From 23 yards out through the middle, and it's touchdown number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for Mr. Kenneth Walker. This is the best. What is amazing about this game? Like, look, there's 1,000 things amazing about this game. MSU won the most historic matchup in this rivalry. Okay, awesome, fantastic, that's great. You could live with that the rest of your entire life, but also probably saw the best individual performance in this rivalry's history as well. And I know, like, both sides have, different performances throughout this, but
it's not close. This is it. You saw
196 stacks.
And not only that,
5 touchdowns. That's tough to beat.
The nation saw it. One of the most watched games of all time. Everyone
top 5, right? Yeah, top 5 for that year, most watched games, because, God, you know what? I hate Fox. I hate their big noon kickoff, but, like, I swear, like, they do it because it works. They actually get a lot of eyeballs on big noon kickoff, as much as I hate to say it. Like, look, you think this weekend I'm not going to watch Ohio State, Penn State at noon? Like, yeah, it works.
Yeah, dude, I'm in.
Right. Like, I'm going to watch probably every big noon kickoff this year. So, like, those rat bastards at Fox have got me. Like, they got me. So, yeah, it worked. It works. I know we were upset about the game time last year when it came out, but okay.
I'll tell you, being ahead 37-33 at home with 5 minutes to go was super cool. But then at the same time, you're thinking, right, we still have to play defense. This could be funky.
I thought, you know what? Surprise onside kick. Why not? Because they're going to move the ball down to the 50 regardless here. Like, let's just why don't you just give it a shot here? Let's enjoy this replay one more time. Kenneth Walker, just here, I'm going to break this down play analytically. He gets the ball, and he says, I'm better than everyone else on this field. Where's the end zone? I would like to go there again for the 5th time today. And he does.
I've long said, Matt, you should only give the ball to the guys that are going to play in the NFL. I don't know why more teams don't do it.
It seems to work.
it seems to work. You should try it. So, yeah, Michigan, driving. And this felt like, weirdly, I think both fan bases put a lot on this drive as, like, being it. Because I think part of it was because people thought if Michigan State got the ball back, they put up 37, they were going to score again. You can't stop Kenneth Walker.
I was going to say, just hand the ball to Kenneth Walker, and now it's 4th and 4 at Michigan's own 32-yard line. And you're thinking, like, I am fidgeting in my couch. I know everyone listening to this was probably. And, of course, well, you know the rest. They complete the pass, and I'm thinking, like, oh, that's right. This is going to be really bad when this goes south because, my God, this is not going well whatsoever. They are moving down the field. It's time for some more bend, don't break, but unfortunately, they need a touchdown. They're going to go for a 4th down every single time. They can't just settle for a field goal. But they don't get the 4th down on 4th and 3 from Michigan State's 31-yard line. I know that, like, obviously, hey, John, I'm really going to shock you here. I don't know if you know this or not, but, like, Michigan fans love to call the officiating card when things go bad. The 4th and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to be said there?
So that was a turnover on downs. I didn't see Michigan State's defense run to the side and take a photo. Because guess what, Matt? Situationally, the game was over.
No, it wasn't.
And I think that's a really interesting thing to think about between the two teams.
That's a great point.
For a while. So, Michigan State forces the turnover, celebrates appropriately because the game's not over.
A lot of game.
If you think that Michigan, that was a penalty, I think you really wanted Michigan to win. That's all I'm saying.
You either had a lot of money on Michigan or you're just a Michigan fan at that point. Like, sure, yeah, there's some hand stuff in there, but like you could probably point out
within 5
39 different
yards.
plays. Right, yeah, within 5 yards, of course. And like you probably find 39 other plays that replicated that. That deep sigh was for the next series because look, hey, Michigan State gets the first down, they win the game.
Yep.
Michigan had, I think, all their timeouts, and first down didn't go well.
No.
Second down didn't go well.
No.
And now we're 3rd and 6.
But the only play, even if like obviously you want to run the ball and make him call down, but like just Kenneth Walker, what if you got 6? Wouldn't that be the funniest thing ever? That was
just as a joke. Yeah.
As a haha. And,
right.
And everyone knew he was getting the ball, but
oh yeah.
I mean, and that's okay.
I'm shocked Michigan didn't load 10 in the box for this play on 3rd and 6 because, look, everyone knows Michigan State is going to run the ball here. Mm-hmm. And, well, okay, that actually didn't go how we thought it would. They didn't hand the ball to Kenneth Walker, and Peyton Thorne takes a loss of 5 yards. Smartly doesn't try to force anything, but also he was surrounded by a gaggle of Wolverines, and now it's time to punt. It's $1:14 on the clock, John.
Yeah.
Michigan has to go 67 yards downfield to kick us all right in the balls, and
here's the thing that you can always ask yourself, though. Is their quarterback that guy? And that's universal. Like any game you're ever watching in a moment
Amen.
Like this. Is Cade Mack, and in this situation, their QB1. Well, we'll find out. Let's see what happens. Push play. I can't remember. This is all coming back.
I think it goes well for them. So
okay.
1st and 10.
Reading my words here.
Okay, incompletion. Okay, but yeah, that's right. The roughing the passer, and this is where I really started to think. Okay, you know what? Selfish time. I have to take a 30-second timeout.
Of course.
This is where I started to think that our reparations from the Jalen Watts Jackson play are going to start to pay off. Like, okay, because like, look, there's ebbs and there's flows.
Sure.
For every action, there's a consequence, or like, you know what I'm trying to say. I thought it was our time to get the payback for the Jalen Watts Jackson play. So when the roughing the passer started, I thought, ball kicking touchdown drive coming up for Michigan right here. Awesome. I'm having the time of my life. And
oh man, I don't know what a cover 2 is. So the true freshman Charles Brantley makes a one-handed pick, which is like the meanest thing you could have done. By the way,
disrespectful.
It was rude at best. And so the game comes to an end. I think it's really funny that because you and I and everyone was like, okay, well, this is going to come down to Michigan's going to have a couple shots at the end zone.
Yes.
Not this offense, not this quarterback. Don't have to worry about that. So celebration begins, and now you can take photos. So I just want to tell if everyone you didn't know when it would be time to take photos, like
correct. Now is photo time. I gotta say, I'm not right a lot of times, but this time I was right.
Sure.
That second Andrell Anthony touchdown, when I said to myself that, oh my God, a true freshman is going to win this game somehow.
Man.
Did I specifically say JJ McCarthy?
No.
Yeah, okay, I actually probably did.
Maybe.
But this is semantics at this point. Like, this is, not important information. True freshman shot. One of my favorite humans of all time. This is the game. And
wow.
I think my feet touched the ground that Wednesday is when it came back down to earth. That was a high that we were able to ride for a long time. When was the first time you stopped smiling after this game?
Boy, it was just this rivalry, if nothing else, produces just so much laughter out of me personally. I laugh. Like every year it's funny to me because I'm also the person that if you shouldn't laugh in the situation, I laugh. This was hysterical. Like the amount of trash talk from Michigan coming into this after 2020, by the way. Maybe we should settle down a little bit. And all the way to this point, Michigan State, even though it was at home, did feel like an underdog, but they played
Yeah.
Like it's like the tougher team, which is not unusual since we've been watching them. So,
like Spartan dogs. That's right. And hey, look, I mean, Michigan State gets up for this game. It's our Super Bowl. That's right. But also too, like the unfortunate fact is like it's theirs as well because look, they had a generational season. They finally beat Ohio State. They finally won a conference title. But oddly enough, John, what game do they talk about the most from last year?
Hey,
it's a game we just watched.
I'll just say,
and that's unfortunately true. You could argue that all you want, but yes, whenever you hop onto Twitter or read a message board, it's always like talk about the Spartans. Hey, look, I love talking about the Spartans, but
I love it too. I get it. It's a great program to talk about. Like, I get it.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's the games, if nothing, are not entertaining. So, excited to see the future chapters because this one was bookmarked, legendary, one of the best, the best,
historic. Just like this episode of Locked On Spartans, we've never done a game rewatch. If you liked it, comment below. If you didn't, you know what? Also comment below too. That raises our engagement numbers.
Okay.
That helps as well. But hey, regardless, you guys are truly the best. John, you are the best as well because my God, this is one of the longest episodes we've recorded. Which I feel like, unfortunately, I'm sorry, always happens when you're on. I always say, hey,
my bad.
Want to record for 30 minutes, and then here we are, like we're almost going on an hour. And I feel terrible. But hey, if you guys like great podcasting, go check out John Kirby, Austin Smith, the only podcast.
Debatable.
John, here's the thing though, it's actually not debatable whatsoever. It's patent fact that you guys are icons, legends, both of you guys. Anything you want to shout out, John, before you go?
I'll just tell you, this is we already said one of the best games that ever happened in the Rivalry's history. One of the better games in Michigan State, just like as a game rating. Incredible game. So you can only expect future games like in this rivalry to hopefully match this because the bar has been set. It's this high.
One of the best games of the rivalry, but I'm like one of the best days of my entire life. Let's call a spade here. Let's quit beating around the bush here. Oh God, this is great. And you know what's even better than watching the game live? Rehashing that day with you, John Kirby. Thank you so much. You are the best. Gang, we will be back tomorrow. Stephen Brooks, 24/7 Sports. We're going to talk about this game coming up this Saturday. We're going to talk about Michigan State football as we do. Later this week, we have Chris Castellani of Barstool Sports here to break down the Michigan side of things. And then at the end of the week, former player, his name rhymes with Shmoni Schlippet, coming on the show. Again, I don't want to spoil anything. Look, we're recording Thursday. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but we have them lined up right now. So we'll see if everything holds on there. But yeah, until then, hey, awesome. You guys are the best. Enjoy your week. Love you all. Go Green.